Danger days, man.
Danger days. Definitely true. Well, who's going to survive this match? Is it going to be our red Terran player on the left side of the map from the Clan FOU, the Team FXO? He is.
FXO SC.
I'm trying to remember what SC stands for. I can't remember now.
I actually used to know. I don't remember.
I think Jay just said, but I didn't hear it.
It's like his name. It's his name. I'm pretty sure it's like his initials, but
here's our blue Protoss. His name is
Gen X Tree.
I thought it might have been something else as well because he has SCSC, but you were saying earlier that's just because you have to have 4 characters.
Yeah, like you can't do 2 character names in StarCraft 2.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it's his name, but maybe he has 2. It's like he actually like standard charter like banks there. I don't know.
I don't know. Thanks to Pepsi and G-Skill for sponsoring this. Thanks, guys.
Like, should know he's my teammate, but I just was like, I'm not absolutely sure. Like, I'm pretty sure it's his initials.
We'll ask him later.
Well, most players who have initials or like 3 characters or 2 characters, it's usually their initials. For example, JYP, it's his initials. So
Minchel.
SMC.
Yeah, a lot of players do that.
Yep.
I think even like Dong Regu. I think that's.
I don't know that for sure.
Part of his name, I think. I could be completely wrong. It could be like his favorite food or something.
Well, Tong Dong Ho, who now joined Dignitas.
Yeah.
That's his name. That's actually just his name.
Yep. And so that's kind of how it is here in Korea.
Exactly.
In case you guys don't know, a lot of players in Korea are known by their names rather than their IDs. And it's just kind of a Western thing that people are known by their IDs.
Now, I just want to point something out. We were talking about nerves earlier with next stream. He accidentally walled off as if you were playing against a Zerg player. Ooh, but he's playing against Terran. I mean, that could come into effect. It probably won't. But you don't normally want to put your gateway there because it's very vulnerable.
Yeah. Actually, when I see that, you know what I love to do? I get a tech lab first on my barracks, and I push with 2 Marauders, a Marine, and an SCV, and I just sit there shooting at it. And if they try to come down the ramp, I just kite their Zealot. And yeah, so it can be pretty dangerous. You usually have to chrono boost out that Stalker pretty fast.
You have to be very careful.
Yeah.
He's going to chrono boost that Stalker. Most likely going to chrono boost his Warp Gate research as well.
Yep.
Sometimes you see players put it there if they want to be aggressive with their first Zealot and chrono that out, but it's very rare. It's to me, it's very obvious that he is just nervous and he was thinking he was playing against a Zerg and walling off. And it happens to all of us. It happens to me. Sometimes I play on the ladder. I've been losing a few games, and I've been like, if I got 6 pool 2 games in a row and I play against a Terran, I'll just be thinking about that game still, and I wall off. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Or even worse in PvP. In PvP, you just like actually lose if you wall off like that.
I hate it when I accidentally wall off in TVP. I'm just like not thinking, and I just auto wall off. I'm like, oh, that's actually really bad. I don't like that.
Well, we do see that SC is going to be walling off. He's going to make a bunker as part of his wall off just to be safe. So he gets that reactor up.
I kind of am wondering if we're going to see this next stream go for Stargate.
It's possible. He did scout gas though, so I don't think we'll see him do that.
And he also did scout the reactor too, I guess, so he knows there's going to be a lot of Marines out. Alright, it is going to be a Robo. Never mind.
Yeah, it's something we could see on the map like this, but when your opponent's going for Banshees, if he holds it and he gets the Cloak Banshees in your base, it's not a fun situation. It's just basically like an auto lose, so a lot of players try to avoid doing that. They like to go for the Robo builds, and this is what you should do. You shouldn't try to 1-gate expand when you scout your opponent going gas, because otherwise he will go for the build that I think SC is going to do, and you will lose.
Yep. I think you know what we're going to see. It's going to be the Banshee Marine tank all in again.
Well, we might. I mean,
it's
the most common follow-up to see that in Korea.
Yeah.
When you see the Banshee come out, it's the most common follow-up. Now, what next stream is going to want to do? Well, he's going to want to do what he didn't just do. Well, of course, if he scouts with his first observer that like this is going on, he might cancel the Nexus. That would be a smart move. But you want to get your robotic support bay up ASAP as soon as you know that this is coming. He doesn't know it yet, but he's going to want to scout. That's why he's chrono boosting out that observer. And I don't think that we're going to see Cloak from SC. It's possible, but it doesn't look like that's in the cards. I think he's just going to go for that timing attack like you were talking about before. And the SC comes up here and sees everything.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways you can do this. One way is to get Cloak. Another one is to just, you know, go all in, pull all your SCVs and everything. And on a map like this is actually my favorite. I mean, obviously I'm not pro or anything, but I love doing this build against Protoss on this map. It's almost the only thing I do on dual site.
Well, the observer is kept at home because he was nervous about Cloak, so he doesn't know exactly what's going on now. And he's going to send a second observer to his opponent's base, but the Nexus is going to finish here. He has a starter robotic support bay. He's making an Immortal preemptively. The problem is Immortals actually end up being pretty useless in this situation. Yeah, you can target them down on tanks if you can get close enough to the tanks before the Marines target you down or the Banshees target you down.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough to hold.
You basically just have to buy yourself a ton of time in this situation, and a lot of the time you see players get a Warp Prism to actually attack from two sides to get a good flank against the siege tanks. It's very difficult to engage them. You can see Immortal drops behind the tanks and things like that. Or sometimes you can see TT1 hold off a push by Nada with photon cannons, but
that's true too. You do sometimes see that.
That's very rare. This Banshee just takes part in some harassment, goes back, gets repaired. Going to be in the timing attack later on. SC is going to start siege mode as he moves out.
He does need to be pretty careful about not losing those Banshees as well. I mean, you do see some players going in there, and then after you lose the Banshees, it's like, oh, that was like kind of one of the really important parts of my push. But
well, notice also there are 4 Stalkers and 3 Sentries out right now. If he makes too many Stalkers, he can't kill the siege tanks. If he makes too many Zealots, he can't kill the Banshees. It's a very difficult situation to be in. A lot of times players will go Phoenixes in this situation, but that's very difficult to do as well. It's very costly. If you mess something up, you just lose. It's like, oh, it's just a really stressful situation to be in. And in fact, right now, I'm trying to check vision with the scan feed and it doesn't work. He doesn't really know exactly what's going on. He's just kind of guessing based on what he's seen. He hasn't checked the command center. He hasn't checked the natural at all. Like, he literally hasn't checked it.
Wow.
He hasn't seen what's inside the opponent's base. His observer is hanging out in the middle of the map. He hasn't said it until just now. He is in a pretty tough spot. He has no idea this is coming. I mean, he's kind of prepared for it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a robotic support bay. How's he going to deal with this many Marines? He's just not.
Well, SC's waiting a little bit longer than normal. Yeah, I was going to say he's waiting for 4 tanks pulling all the SCVs, and the observer's like, uh-oh.
Well, he's going to make a few more Stalkers, realizing he needs those for the Banshees. Then notice he's moving out away from his natural quite a bit. He wants to force the tanks to siege up, then back up, and do that repeatedly so he can buy himself enough time to get some more units out. Notice he's chrono boosting those warp gates, but SC is up 20 supply. He's got much better units.
You got to be careful there not to lose those Banshees.
This is exactly what Next Stream wants to do. But is it going to be enough? Scans kills the observer.
Yep, that's going to be nice. And, all right, moving up the other ramp. Are the tanks going to siege up? No, they're not. Oh, yes, they are.
He's just going to slowly push with those tanks now.
Yeah.
Forcing a lot of Guardian Shield, Force Fields to go down. And here we go. Tanks are sieged up. He has to back away, but he didn't lose any units. He's buying himself some time. This is exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But is it going to be enough? I'm not so sure, Doa.
Those tanks are going to be so hard to deal with. Here we go again. And Force Field's cutting off some of the Marines, but they can pretty much all fire. Zealots at the front getting absolutely owned. The Immortals coming in. He is focusing, actually wasn't focusing the tanks in the Immortals.
Probes were joining in the fight as well, but not very well. Nice targeting on that siege tank, but there are just so many Banshees. There's 1 Banshee for each Stalker. And from here, SC is in great shape. 68 supply at 28. Next Stream did everything he needed to do, but he should have reacted and scouted a little bit better. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I just don't know what to tell you guys. We cast this game like once a day. This happens, sometimes twice a day, and I don't know what to tell these pros. They just need to scout better before they decide to take a Nexus.
He's got to be careful. There are a lot of Stalkers out there. There is a mule there to help repair the Banshees.
Yeah, I don't think that's a man or mule.
Should be targeting that pylon. If you could depower that, that'd be pretty huge. Oh, he's got to be careful with those Banshees, though. Losing another one.
It just doesn't even matter. He actually could just send his Banshees home and still win at this point. There's just not enough units. Yep. The Sentry's not going to be involved in this fight at all. Another Banshee comes to join. I mean, those Force Fields are good, but they're like aren't any Stalkers. He's like trying to give the Marines a hug. It's just not working. The Marines aren't interested.
Well, the Marines are kind of big. It's hard to get your arms around.
And that's going to be it. SC is going to advance to the round of 16.
Yep.
Next Stream tried his best. He did exactly what he needed to do once he figured out what was going on. You just need to figure that out earlier. GG.
Yeah, so a quick 2-0 from FXO SC. He is still in the GSL. He's not going anywhere. Well, I'll tell you where he is going, Wolf. He's going to the round of 16.
Yep.
And Next Stream, unfortunately, back down to Code B. We've seen a couple players today get into Code A for the first time and get knocked back down again. He's got a smile on his face, though. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting here and getting knocked out. You get a little bit of booth experience. He made it, at least. He did qualify. So, you know, props to him for getting this far, at least.
Yeah.
Might see him again in the future. Who knows?
I think nerves came into play a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Maru Prime, too. We saw that as well, where it seemed like his play wasn't as good as what we saw in the Code A qualifiers last week. So, yeah, that is kind of a big deal, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So our next match is going to be, I believe it's Tails versus Teja.
That's right.
Yep, and that should be pretty interesting. Tails is someone that we've seen a little bit in the Team League so far. And was he in Code A last season? I believe he might.
You're talking about Tails or Teja?
Tails.
Tails was, yes.
Tails. This is Teja's first time in Code A, though, yes. He just qualified. A lot of people know him because of that all-kill he got last season.
Yep, he actually all-killed his former team, Xenex. He used to be in the team. He was in the clan Next. When the team became Xenex, he was with them for a little bit and then moved to Slayers.
Yep.
And Slayers saw a lot of potential in him. He was a very, very good player, especially even in the old times, like in the beta and the early parts of release, he was really good, but he's gotten even better. He's a really, really good player.
Yeah, this has been a match I've been kind of looking forward to casting to see. Teja actually just qualified for WCG, also here in Korea. So, yeah, he's doing really well.
That's actually extremely difficult to do, by the way.
Yeah, I was down there the other day.
That is a huge tournament.
A lot of good players at that one. And he's a Slayers Terran, too. I mean, Terran is, or Slayers rather, is the House of Terran, really.
Because they're really well known for their good
Terrans.
Terrans.
Not a big surprise.
Slayers Boxer he sits at the throne, and he looks down upon his disciples.
Right. He has his computer up on this pedestal, and he, looks down over the practice scene.
He actually has, every monitor hooked into, the security camera. He, looks at everyone's screen. He, keeps switching. And, someone's not playing well enough, he, gets up and goes and teaches them. He stands behind them. He's like, you need more macro.
Or if he doesn't like what they're doing, he hits a button on his chair and a pit opens up beneath them. They fall down.
Actually, I don't think Slayers Boxer's that kind of cruel.
Yeah, you're probably
I don't think he's a cruel king. I think he's a very just and wise king.
A benevolent dictator.
Maybe.
Called that way. I don't know. What we're trying to say is that they have good Terran players. That's basically the gist of it. But yeah, we're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll be back with the next best of 3 here at the GSL Code A with Doa and Wolf. Don't go anywhere.